Hello everyone and welcome to a most exciting game from round 4 of this year's Sinquefield Cup. Nodirbek Abdusattorov versus Fabiano Caruana. Definitely an important game for both of them. Nodirbek still without a win. He has a draw and 2 losses, and Fabi leading the tournament, or rather co-leading with Levon and Prague. Would definitely love to extend his lead. He does have the black pieces, so a draw is fine, but if you can do better, it would go a long way for him and for his chances of actually winning the tournament. So it's a pretty crazy game, as the title of the video suggests. Sometimes you should go for it, sometimes maybe not. Here, I have no idea. You guys will be the judge of that. So Nodirbek with white opens with pawn to c4. He goes for the English opening. We have pawn to e6, knight to c3, and pawn to d5. We have pawn to d4, knight f6, and c captures on d5. Now, in lower level, or rather lower rated games, you will not see this trade in the center very often, or at some levels you might also will, but it's always harder to play with your light square bishop boxed in. So at lower levels, players with the white pieces might prefer if black cannot just play the light square bishop anywhere. Here at this level, everyone plays everything, so it might be a nice surprise. We have bishop to g5, bishop to e7, and pawn to e3. We have pawn to h6, chasing away the bishop, bishop h4, and now Fabi says, all right, since you've traded in the center, I get to develop my light square bishop for free. Bishop g4, we have queen to c2, and castles king side, pawn to h3, and bishop back to e6. As you can see by the situation on the clock, or rather on the clocks, they're just blitzing moves out, not burning any time. They started off with an hour and a half, still around an hour and a half. We have knight f3, knight to e8, offering a trade of dark square bishops. Nodirbek says no thank you. Bishop to g3, bishop to d6, offering the trade again, and bishop to d3. Nodirbek says, all right, if you want to trade, the trade will happen on g3. And Fabi says, all right, let's do it. Captures, and now there is a game where knight to d6 was played. Here we have knight to d7, and it is now as of move 13 that we have a completely new game. And Nodirbek says, well, thank you for doubling my g-pawn. It's now coming for your king. So pawn to g4, and Fabi says, okay, I don't feel like defending this game. Let's go for a nice counterattack. And everyone knows that the best way to counter a flank attack is to open up the center. And Fabi goes for pawn to c5. Castles queen side, castling right in the face of danger, and rook to c8 now. A no-brainer, really, in putting the rook in front of the white queen and the white king, preparing c captures on d4. And, someone who is maybe less belligerent than Nodirbek, at least today, would go for a nice king to b1 or maybe something, but no, Nodirbek goes for pawn to g5. And this is why we love to watch Nodirbek play chess. Fabi says, all right, c captures on d4. Now you have to react to this. E captures on d4, and h captures on g5. And now not any h4, because that will run into g4. First pawn to g4, and then you're going to focus on how to bust open the position. And Fabi could try a lot of moves here, but you know that h4 is coming. So Fabi plays pawn to g6, and it's sort of a deadly dare to Nodirbek. Who amongst us would not capture on g6? And this is why I've chosen this title for the video, because how do you not capture on g6? It's not possible not to capture on g6, and it's even the top move recommended by the engine. And of course, Nodirbek goes for it. He already, showed that he's not interested in some sort of a save game. He's going all out here. He has the white pieces. He has yet to win a game this tournament. He wants to take down Fabi, plays bishop captures on g6, and you can't really touch this bishop. Point being that if the bishop is captured, queen captures on g6, let's say knight g7, knight g5 threatens checkmate. And if you make some room for the king on f8, let's say rook f2, queen h7 check, king to f8, and now look at this, queen captures on g7. King captures, knight captures on e6 with a royal fork, king g6, knight captures on d8, rook captures, and now just let's say rook d to f1, you offer a rook trade, you're up 2 pawns, and those are 2 connected passed pawns. Of course, you are completely winning here. So after bishop captures on g6, Fabi says, all right, queen to f6. Now threatens just, queen captures on g6. Nodirbek goes bishop h7 check. We have king to g7. And now we have rook d to f1. Again, you could try, let's say, queen d3 to get your queen off of that c file, or maybe bishop to f5, trade some pieces, bail out a little bit, but no. Nodirbek goes again for that black king. Rook d to f1, and Fabi says, all right, I'm going after your king and queen. Pawn to b5. And a3 to stop b4 doesn't really do all that much. It will just be met with pawn to a5, and then pawn to b4 is coming. So Nodirbek focuses on the king side, pawn to h4, and Fabi focuses on the queen side, pawn to b4. H captures on g5, and now queen to f4 with check. Very good that Fabi has this move. Otherwise, could be very interesting. And finally, king to b1. And this is how real attackers play. You don't play king b1, preemptively. You just wait for your opponent to check you, and then you play it. More often than not, that's a bad idea, but if you can play at this level and calculate as well as Nodirbek does, then you can allow it. And now b captures on c3, grabbing the knight here. And the question is, how does white continue here? White is down a piece, but he does have some sort of an attack happening. Is there anything here? And if so, what? Feel free to pause the video here and try to find a best move for white while I give you a couple of seconds. The only move that not wins but does not lose the game for Nodirbek is knight to h4, but Nodirbek did not find it. In the sort of a post-analysis with Fabi after the game, Nodirbek said that he thought about this move, but he just didn't like what he saw, and then he decided for a different line. But the point is that after, let's say, queen captures on g5, as the queen was hanging here, you give a check, knight f5 check, and after captures, you play bishop captures. And now, whatever black plays is perfectly fine, but it is still white who needs to be very precise. For example, knight e to f6, you will play bishop captures on d7. The knight cannot capture due to checkmate on h7. So you're going to play rook to b8, and now after b3, something like knight e4, the knight can move to e4, obviously, as you block the white queen, and the game continues with chances for both sides, but all in all, should be equal. But so after b captures on c3, Nodirbek played bishop to f5, sort of a different move order, but this loses terribly what Fabi has to play, and it doesn't even have to be a unique move, as there are a couple of options that are winning. You could play c captures on b2, which is pretty standard, which is maybe even cooler than what Fabi played, because you're sacrificing the rook on c8. And after queen captures on c8, you have this very, very strange move, knight to c7, which is defended by the queen, and now your queen is hanging. And the problem is, if you move the queen, let's say go queen to b7, then rook to b8 further attacks the queen, and now where do you go? Nowhere. You could capture on a7, but then look at this. Bishop captures on f5, or rather, even more spectacular, queen captures on f5, and that's it. Pawn captures, bishop captures on f5, checkmate. So this would be, let's just look at this one more time. Queen captures, g captures, bishop captures with checkmate. Had this happened, this would be shared all over the place, and it would be the only game anyone would be covering today, whoever covers games. But in the game, after bishop to f5, Fabi went for rook to h8. Here, he's trying to win a tournament, not, impress the crowd. Rook captures on h8, king captures on h8, and now bishop captures on e6. F captures on e6, and the rook to h1 check, king g7, and now it looks very good. Queen h7 is possible, but Fabi calculated everything. If queen to h7 with check, king to f8, queen to h6 with check, you just escape king to e7. And now if rook to e1, again, looks nice, but just pawn to c2 check. You cannot go to c1. You have to go to a1, and then you just bring another queen or rook into the game and checkmate with, whatever you prefer. So after king g7, rook to h7 was played, but again, king to f8, pawn to g6, or any other move. There really aren't any useful moves here. Pawn to g6 was played, and here Fabi just played knight d to f6, and he was in this position on move 30 that Nodirbek Abdusattorov resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So not the best tournament for him. Out of the 4 games, he got 1 draw and 3 losses. But Fabi is now in sole lead, and I will cover probably one more game from this round, and then we are going to discuss the standings after round 4. But yeah, Fabi doing extremely well. He baited Nodirbek with that pawn pawn to g6 move. Nodirbek went for it, even though it was perfectly fine. It was, I think, at a much lower level. Of course, I have sometimes maybe the same problem Nodirbek has. I find a line and I can't see past the draw. And then, I just discard it completely. Even though the line that I actually play, I cannot calculate, but it's not a draw, so I play it. I might win it, which, sometimes I win nice games, but sometimes I lose terribly. If I was actually a chess player, that would be, not the best quality that I have. But yeah, what are you going to do? Of course, for Nodirbek, it works out as, he is at this level and he crushes everyone, but today it didn't work. So yeah, here you resign because there's nothing for you to try. Let's say g7, check, king g8, you don't even have to capture, and after you give a check, you just capture on g7, and there's no follow-up here. Whatever you play is completely insufficient, and then black just checkmates you, or you lose a lot of material. So yeah, after knight d to f6, Nodirbek resigned, and a beautiful, beautiful victory for Fabiano Caruana. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Gerhard Henkelmann, Derek King, Heran Escalante Jr., Robert Kiefer, and Edmund Freeman for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And of course, to avoid mistakes like these, download Lotus Chess. It teaches you how to play incredible fighting chess, unlike anything you've ever seen. First link in the description below. See you soon.